Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're doing good and well. So we're starting a new series on the channel today, which is going to be focused in on shoegaze and dreampop artists in particular. And for this first episode of this new series, I'm joined by none other than my friend from Chill Dude on a Couch Reviews, Hector. How are you doing, Hector?
I'm
Ready to
good.
talk
I'm
shoegaze and dreampop?
ready to talk shoegaze and dreampop. Yes.
Yeah, it feels like it's a genre of music that is kind of a genre that's a dark horse in itself, isn't it? It's so much great that I think there's a lot of great shoegaze and dreampop artists out there that kind of people don't know about, that are sort of under a bit of a shell, and just deserves a lot more love, I think, and attention with some of these bands who, some of them, as I'm going to be talking about, put out some really great stuff and great, like catchy kind of hits as well. And feel like it's a genre that needs that bit more love anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, we're going to sort of be talking about shoegaze we've been listening to recently. So bands we've been listening to kind of maybe recent weeks, recent months. Yeah, Hector, do you want to kick off with shoegaze you've been listening to lately?
Yes, of course. So lately, I've been listening to a lot of shoegaze because it's a great music to listen to, especially like when you're going through stuff like emotions. I think that shoegaze is great. Uh, I went into a rabbit hole like a few months ago of shoegaze, and I started to listen to a lot of shoegaze from Japan, of all places. And I
Yeah.
went down this rabbit hole, and oh my, there's so many shoegaze bands in Japan. And I found out more about shoegaze because there's a YouTuber that all he does is shoegaze. So I went into his channel to because I like shoegaze, but I don't have that deep knowledge of it because I think it's a genre that, like you say, maybe sometimes it goes under the rug, like a dark horse, like not all people know. But I started listening to so many bands, and especially, like I said, the bands in Japan, they're so great. There's obviously a lot of them sing in Japanese, so you're not gonna understand what they're saying, but such beautiful tracks. And you have all types of, like, you have the ones that are more like fuzzy guitars, more dream pop, but they're all great. And I've been going down that shoegaze hole with them. Also, I've been listening to, there's a band from Puerto Rico called Unreal, and they put out an album called Islands last year. And I interviewed the band, and I've been listening to it a lot. And it sounds great. And I think it's Puerto Rico. I think there's that's like the only shoegaze band that I know of from Puerto Rico. There may be more, but like shoegaze in Puerto Rico, I don't think there's a lot of bands that play shoegaze, but that one does, and it's pretty well. And also, there's a band from St. Petersburg, Russia called Blankenberge that I just discovered like a few weeks ago, and I'm in love with that band. They just sound great, and it's a female vocalist, and I really love their stuff. So those are the shoegaze. And obviously, I've been listening to classic My Bloody Valentine, Slowdive, but I wanted to go deeper into like more modern, like shoegaze bands, because those ones are have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And I stream a lot, so Spotify has a since I listen to shoegaze, there's like a playlist called Modern Shoegaze, and I just went there, and that's where I discovered Blankenberge and some of the other type of bands. And it's something that's very interesting about shoegaze is that like every genre of metal somehow like it changes a little bit depending on what country you are in. But funnily enough, shoegaze sounds the same. Like, like even if you're in Puerto Rico, Japan, or Russia, it's like the same vibe. So shoegaze could be one of those genres that hasn't been polarized or changed with where you are, because every shoegaze band sound like shoegaze, which I think is interesting. That even though that you're in a different country, like the sound of shoegaze stays like pretty much like in a same format. And someone would say, oh, maybe that's boring, but no, I don't think so.
It's
What
interesting
do you
with the
think of it?
genre, isn't it? That it's a genre that tends to be sort of, you know, put in with other genres as almost like a second tagged on to sort of primary main genres. Like with metal, you have black gaze, don't you? And
Oh yeah.
black metal with shoegaze, and you've even had, I think, people describe things like death gaze and thrash gaze more recently, and putting all these putting shoegaze on the back of a lot of metal styles, and I think you sort of you see it kind of making subtle appearances sometimes in other genres, I think, as well. In pop, occasionally, you get some effects which make you think, oh, it sounds a little bit shoegazy. And I think of other artists I like where you sometimes think, oh, there's a bit of a shoegaze influence in there, but maybe they're a rock band or an indie band or just not a band you'd ordinarily think of as shoegaze, but sometimes they throw in a song which is shoegazy in style or dream pop in style. So I think it's still out there. I think there's been something of a revival of it, which I think we may have talked of in the video on your channel we did a while back when we were sort of talking.
Yeah.
I'll put a link into that actually in the description box because that was good fun. We were talking about a bit of a revival of bands recently, and a lot of bands that were around in the 90s coming back now and sort of starting again a bit in the last 10 years, like Slowdive with their comeback album, Hum with their sort of return, and other bands like from the 90s suddenly reappearing and everything, which has been interesting too, which is almost a whole other topic. But yeah. And Blankenberge, I don't think I've really checked them out properly before, so I will check out Blankenberge. There's another band from Russia called Pinkshinyultrablast who are amazing, and they are fantastic. Or at least there's one album of theirs specifically which I really love, called Everything Else Matters, I think. And that's a pretty amazing shoegaze album with kind of unique. I mean, I think you can have, I think I agree with you, somewhat on the whole, like it can sound, it has a similar certain, you can pick out certain shoegaze bands and you just think, yeah, that's classic shoegaze sound. I think their form of shoegaze is super kind of reverby, but there's a bass guitar sound which is very kind of upfront, which makes it sound a little different from other shoegaze bands because that is kind of clearer and much more sort of eminent and upfront and stuff. And I think you get those little differences now and then as well. But yeah, it's a genre that is generally recognizable. You can pick up a shoegaze band. If there are a lot of My Bloody Valentine sound alikes out there, I think, that just copy and use that sound, but then it's sort of how they do it sometimes and how they use that influence that's the key for me.
Yeah, I think yeah, I agree with what you say. And I found the YouTuber that does all, his name is Stained Glass Stories. You should have them on your channel because all he does is shoegaze, and he does like documentaries about shoegaze bands, and he did one about the Japanese scene, and he mentioned like his 10 favorite albums, and I started listening to some of these albums, and they're just great bands in Japan for shoegaze. And I went on that rabbit hole, like I said. But yes, it's interesting how shoegaze sounds like it's a genre that it doesn't matter where you are, like it has a distinctive sound, and it's a scene that like you never hear like shoegaze bands talk bad about other shoegaze bands. Like it's a scene that really supports one another.
Yeah, I kind of get that feeling. It's pretty niche, isn't it? But yeah, I get that feeling that it's not sort of bad blood. It's not sort of, you don't get too much of that kind of bitterness or, lawsuits everywhere like you sometimes get with the metal bands we follow that have been around a long time, of course, but and all that sort of thing. It feels like it's a little bit more of a friendly vibe with shoegaze generally, but yeah, I agree. So I mean, I guess I'll talk about a couple of albums I've been listening to recently. And the first one I was going to mention, I'll share my screen. I think I can do that. So it's a window of application you want to share. So let's do this one. This is me trying. Can you see that?
Yes, I can see it right now.
Yeah, so it's Winter and What Kind of Blue Are You? And this is a Brazilian artist called Samira Winter. I think her project's called Winter. And it's how can I put it? It's very melancholic shoegaze. It's very melancholic. But I like the sounds that she has. She has, quite a nice voice. It's quite, at times she reaches these really good like vocal highs and stuff that I enjoy. And her latest album, What Kind of Blue Are You, is pretty cool. I think that came out recently on the 14th of October. So that's one to check out.
Yeah, I like the writing. It looks like a child wrote it.
Yeah, it does a bit, doesn't it? I kind of like that image she's gone for as well, with her sort of sitting down, and yeah, it kind of looks a little bit of a humble kind of album cover too. The other album, I don't have to try and do a screen share for this one. This is Hatchie. She's an Australian Dreampop artist, and this is fast turning into one of my favorite albums I've heard this year. I only picked it up recently, or listened to it online recently, got the CD. It actually came out on my birthday this year as well. And
Nice.
she's Australian. There seem to be a lot of really good, like you were talking about Japan. I think there's a whole scene in Japan. There's a bit of a scene in Australia. As another band I was going to mention when we do our recommendation is Australian, and I think I've got a lot of good artists. Another artist I discovered this year who's Australian is Annie Hamilton, who's kind of a bit of a, she draws on some shoegaze influences. This is basically 90s sounding pop, I guess, but with definitely dream pop and shoegaze flavorings to the tracks. So someone described this, I read, as a bit like All Saints combined with aspects of My Bloody Valentine and Slowdive. So they're catchy songs.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, they're catchy.
I'm gonna listen to it.
There's a few songs on here which are like pop hits, but with a bit of that dream pop flavoring. And there are others which are very sort of more melancholic. You can hear more of the sort of Slowdive and more of the melancholic side of shoegaze on here too. But yeah, it's kind of it's a journey. There's not really one mood on the album, which I like about it. It's a bit of a journey through different moods as well. But yeah, she's a good songwriter. I do find that with some of these Australian artists, there seem to be some good songwriters out there. I don't know if you find that, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I follow Australia, but there's a lot of great metal bands from
Oh
Australia. Yeah, that's a country I want to go to.
Yeah. I mean, same here. Yeah, in a way, it's sort of like the last band I was going to talk about, which I'll keep relatively brief because I've done a review of this band, and I think Hexie, I introduced these to you as well.
Oh yeah,
Always.
yeah. I heard.
Album,
I saw your
yeah.
review. I hadn't heard of them, and I listened to them. Yeah, and they're pretty cool. And they're popular. The Needle Drops actually reviewed them. And yeah, that guy gets like 1 million views in 1 hour.
Oh yeah. He's the big YouTube reviewer, isn't he? Really?
Oh no,
Yeah.
he is the king of
Yeah.
YouTubers.
Like
You can't touch him.
Yeah.
And I always find it funny because I always dread watching his reviews especially because he trashes Deftones all the times. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna I give this a light 3 out of 4.
Yeah. I sometimes I do tend to I tend to agree with him on quite a lot of what he says in his reviews. The interesting thing is, I guess, that for this album, I don't think he was as keen, but he loves Anti-Socialites, which is the one that came before this one. And I think I gave this my highest ever score on my channel as well. But now I'm thinking I might have just slightly, if it's a 9 out of 10 for me, for sure. I think I gave it a 9.5. And now I'm thinking maybe it's not quite a 9.5 out of 10, but it's a really great,
it's a really great fanboy in you took over.
Yeah, the fanboy took over for sure.
Yeah, for me, reviewing Deftones is hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, those are some great albums. So I would recommend. I don't have the pictures of the albums. I didn't download them, but for example, Blankenberge Their album is called, I'm gonna show it here. It's called More. Yeah, I can't say, you can't see it, but it's came out in 2019. That was their last album, and it's 39 minutes, 9 songs, and I really like the sound of this band. They're a shoegaze dream pop based in St. Petersburg, Russian Federation, and the lead singer is a female, and she has a great, like, very like subtle voice. I really like it. Her name is Jana Guselnikova. She's on vocals and she's
Okay.
great. Uh, Another band that I've been listening to a lot and has a new single out. This one's from the States. They're called Cigarettes After Sex,
Definitely know
and
them. Yeah.
yeah, and they're quite popular, and they're kind of shoegaze, dream pop, and their new single is called "You're All I Want." No, that's from 220. They have a new single out now. Oh my God, I can't find it right now. But
So I
they
try and
have,
find it. I'll try
yeah,
and
I'm
find
trying
it.
to find it because they have a new single out that I heard, and now I'm like, why can't I find the single? And it sounds really good. The music from them, they're more dream pop. Like, this is something that you can put, like, if you just like want to chill, open up a glass of wine and just relax. So yeah, it's a really cool band, and they're gonna be on tour soon in the States.
Okay.
So catch them. They're gonna be, and I think they're gonna release an album next year. So yeah, that's a band that I've been. So in Japan, I can't name a band in particular because I've been listening to a whole lot of Japanese bands, and I can so just check out. There's so many shoegaze in Japanese, and my final pick. Shout out to Un.real, and their album is called Islands,
Good
and they're a
album.
shoegaze
Yeah.
band from Puerto Rico. They put it out last year, and the bassist also has a other band that's kind of shoegazy called Sueño con Belugas, which means I dream of belugas.
Okay.
And they're putting out it's that one's in Spanish.
Okay.
Sueño con it's more like there's kind of shoegaze on that one, but
Mm.
Unreal is in English and it's more like pure shoegaze. So yeah, check all of them out. But the one that I've been listening to the most is being Blankenberge. Great band. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Eh,
I think Unreal, if they spell, I'm trying to think, do they have a full stop
it's
between?
yes,
Yeah.
un.real.
Not real. Yeah, I was just looking it up because I remembered seeing that and thinking that people Google just Unreal, they might not find them
Yeah,
either. So
yeah, because they have
typing
to
in
put the point.
exactly
Yeah,
with the point.
and that album's really good. It came out last year, and I think they still have variants for because they did a pressing on vinyl that I think you can order directly from the band, and they will
Okay.
send to you. And if you're in Puerto Rico, I think you can buy them. There's a record store called Ojo de Tigre in Santurce, Puerto Rico. So if you're in Puerto Rico, go there and you could probably get that album. It's a great album.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe you could start a Puerto Rico shoegaze movement or something.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's no
Start.
there is kind of a scene, and if you speak to his name is actually Hector too, the bassist from that band, and he loves shoegaze
Yeah.
and he'll talk all about it.
Awesome. Awesome. So my recommendation, I think I'm gonna have to share my screen again to get this up. So let's do that. So this is a band called Deafcult, and they're from Australia. And this album came out a few years ago.
I listen to them.
Auras, if you listen to them as well. Now, they were in my top 20 of that year as well. I can't remember where I put them, 16th or 17th or something. And because I did that list like on YouTube this year, I revisited this album and I'd forgotten just how, it started to grow on me more from when I'd first listened to it. And I realized this is actually really, I think this is a really good and maybe a bit underrated shoegaze album from recent years. And they sort of do these, you get some of the noisy distortion, but it's nicely mixed, nicely controlled. So it's never kind of it's not too jarring at all. And then they mix that up with light jangly guitars and lovely reverb sort of textures and amazing vocal harmonies as well. Like the track Secret Wisdom, I think is just a really nice, beautiful sort of shoegaze track. It's just so nice to listen to. And they've got like a couple of other songs I like on here, Indigo Children, Rubik's is amazing as well. So that's another one. That's my recommendation actually to check out if you're a shoegaze fan. You've not heard this before, obviously, but yeah.
I love the cover.
Yeah, it's a nice cover. It's pretty shoegaze, isn't it? It's you can tell it's kind of got the look of a shoegaze album. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we can convert JC to shoegaze.
There are certain bands he might enjoy more that are maybe on the heavier side of the genre, perhaps.
Yeah, that's the thing about shoegaze. You have like the more dreamy pop ones and the heavier distortion ones. So you can tell if they listen to, if they're more influenced by my Bloody Valentine or by Slowdive. You can tell.
Yeah. I wonder if, because I mean, so perhaps talk about JC when he's not here. I think he might like a band like Hum.
Oh yeah,
because they're a bit more on the heavier alternative rock, space rock
and
kind of
and Failure.
Yeah, and Failure. I forgot to mention him. I listened to that album. It was good, very good.
Oh yeah,
they're Fantastic Planet, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great album from the 90s. Like
yeah,
just amazing stuff.
I gave that a listen because that was your recommendation from the other video as well. So yeah, that was a good one. All right, well, thanks Hector for joining me, and don't forget everybody, drop a subscribe to Hector's channel, the Chill Dude. I can't speak. Chill Dude on a Couch Reviews. And yeah, check out all his content there with his interviews of new bands upcoming and all his album reviews as well. And then obviously got my channel, and you know, this series I'm intending to make it probably every couple of weeks or so. I don't know at this point, but I did want to sort of have an outlet for shoegaze and dream pop because it's a kind of music I really love, and it seems to get some interest now and then when I cover a shoegaze album or something on the channel. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching for this first episode of the Shoegaze Files. Until next time, from me and Hector, bye for now.
Bye.